cosmic mist swirled around the Grand Assembly Hall, where crystal lights reflected upon thousands of unfamiliar faces. Suddenly, the immense doors slowly parted. Alina Ray, humanity's sole representative, stood revealed amid hundreds of high-tech religious delegations. Red emergency lights flashed rapidly as Ambassador Exorlath of the Vra sneered, "Have you ever truly known war?" At that precise moment, an ancient genetic secret began to awaken Anne. The entire galaxy would never be the same again. An unusual triumph. The Galactic Alliance Assembly Hall appeared as an extravagant amphitheater of myriad alien species, towering blue-skinned entities standing beside squat, six-legged creatures. Some floated effortlessly in anti-gravity spheres. Others breathed heavily through massive oxygen tanks strapped to their backs. Above, thousands of crystal chandeliers refracted ethereal blue light, casting surreal glimmers across the vast chamber. Throughout the hall, an automated chorus of translation whispered steadily, repetitively chanting, "Humanity, humanity, humanity," until abruptly ceasing as the immense doors swung wide open. Alina Ray emerged gracefully, clad in an immaculate ceremonial white gown that complemented her slender frame. The dress, precisely tailored, accentuated her form subtly yet deliberately, while the rounded neckline showcased her warm olive skin. At 5 feet 6 inches, her stature was modest, yet every step resonated with an unmistakable sense of authority and quiet strength. Her posture was impeccable, her chin raised confidently, conveying clearly to the alien audience that she fully understood the weight of this historic moment. At the center podium stood High Chancellor Ziv, an imposing creature whose towering frame was accentuated by rows of artificial corneas glinting like miniature galaxies. Ziv tapped the metallic spikes on his ceremonial gauntlet lightly upon the transmitter, sending ripples of translation across the expansive assembly hall. His resonant voice filled the chamber. For 50 years, humanity has been closely observed. Today marks the official induction of humanity into the Galactic Alliance. The response was immediate yet polarized. Half the delegates erupted into enthusiastic applause, their support loud and genuine, while the other half sat reserved, their gazes sharp and calculating. A wave of murmurs spread as Ambassador Exorlath of the Vra Empire made his way deliberately toward Earth's delegation. His scaled skin was dark and glossy, 4 piercing eyes locking onto Alina with unsettling intensity. Exorlath's voice emerged like shards of volcanic glass, sharp and abrasive. A species unfamiliar with true warfare for over a century. Tell us, what have you learned besides your naive notions of peace? Between the cracks of his scales, vibrant droplets of bodily fluid glistened ominously red. His predatory gaze seemed to brand Alina as easy prey before the entire assembly. Without uttering a word, Alina gently placed her hand over the Phoenix emblem, embossed prominently upon her chest, symbolizing Earth's resilience, its painful history, and its indomitable spirit forged through 2 centuries of relentless conflict. A brief, profound silence enveloped the hall. Then, with an unwavering yet composed voice, Alina responded, "We value peace deeply, but we have never forgotten that our true nature is born from resilience and defiance." Her words resonated softly, yet carried an unmistakable edge, as if each syllable had been tempered and sharpened like a finely crafted blade. The alien delegates exchanged hushed remarks, evaluating the human representative's measured response. Exorlath curled his lip disdainfully, his voice dripping with disdainful skepticism. Peace breeds weakness, and weakness invites death. The chilling threat plunged the assembly into silence. In Alina's eyes flashed a spark, not anger, but an undeniable resolve to prove herself and her species. The ceremony concluded swiftly, giving way to a brisk procession. Alina was escorted by elite guards through winding corridors slick with luminescent reflections. They reached the imposing entrance to the Alliance's scientific wing, passing countless screens displaying intricate galactic maps dotted with crimson threats and azure allies constantly shifting in real time. The technology around her was awe-inspiring, analyzing matter instantaneously, connecting disparate data systems across the galaxy in an unprecedented web of knowledge. Guided by her predecessor's aide, who sported 4 agile arms and skin that shimmered emotional, Alina entered the Advanced Research Laboratory assigned specifically to the human delegation. Trell's skin briefly shifted to an anxious ash gray as he leaned close, whispering cautiously, "Do not pay too much heed to the Vra. They measure power solely through warfare." Alina nodded calmly, her voice lowering to a reassuring whisper. "Then we shall teach them the true meaning of warriors." The curtain of diplomatic formality had fallen, revealing behind it an entirely new chapter, ripe with revelations awaiting humanity's discovery. The mysteries of genetic potential, the secrets of their destined path, all poised on the threshold of revelation. Yet beyond these doors lingered persistent scrutiny, skeptical whispers, and the palpable promise of an arduous journey ahead, not merely a struggle for survival, but a profound assertion of humanity's rightful place among the stars. Alina glanced around her new domain, eyes absorbing the unfamiliar yet thrilling surroundings. Laboratory instruments pulsated softly, holographic data danced in mesmerizing patterns, and research terminals hummed quietly, awaiting interaction. Her thoughts momentarily drifted to Earth's troubled past, the wars that forged their collective spirit. Painful, yes, but undeniably formative. This history now laid the foundation for humanity's unique contributions to a diverse and unpredictable interstellar community. Nearby, scientists from various worlds observed cautiously yet curiously, exchanging furtive glances as they assessed the newest members of their shared quest for knowledge. Alina's steady gaze met theirs without faltering, silently communicating both openness to collaboration and readiness for competition. She knew the delicate balance ahead would require wisdom, tenacity, and unwavering determination. Suddenly, Trell's skin flushed softly with hues of cautious optimism as he gestured towards an intricate hologram depicting DNA sequences intertwined with cosmic symbols. "These," he whispered reverently, "are the secrets your ancestors left behind in your very blood, waiting patiently through generations to be unlocked." Alina stepped closer, her breath briefly catching in awe at the elegant complexity before her. "It's incredible," she murmured, feeling the weight and wonder of generations past, pressing warmly against her heart. Trell nodded solemnly, his voice soft but filled with anticipation. "And it is your generation who will decipher these messages, Alina. You will unlock the potential hidden within your species and show the galaxy what humanity truly embodies." Her fingers brushed gently against the hologram's glowing strands. In that moment, the whispers of doubt from the assembly faded, replaced by an unshakable sense of purpose. Humanity's place within the Galactic Alliance would not merely be one of passive membership. No, they would be pioneers, visionaries, warriors of intellect and spirit, proving decisively that true strength could indeed emerge from peace. With newfound resolve, Alina straightened, eyes ablaze with clarity and determination. A quiet smile formed upon her lips. "Then let us begin," she said decisively, taking her first confident step forward into a future ripe with promise, peril, and endless possibility. Insults and the suppressed drop of blood. The crystal lights within the Galactic Alliance Hall flickered sporadically as Ambassador Exerlath's footsteps resonated harshly like a hammer striking metal. Each of his 4 eyes glared with contempt, and his dark scale shimmered menacingly under the artificial illumination, creating an eerie, grotesque tableau. Approaching the central podium, the automated translation rippled outward. "Human soft beings, lacking the essence of combat. Your people only understand peace, but peace is the worthless melody strummed by the weak." No delegate dared interrupt the ambassador, yet the temperature within the hall surged, thick with tension. Automatic translation lenses mechanically repeated the phrase, "lacking combat essence," embedding it deeply into every listener's mind. Murmurs arose in agreement, others expressing confusion or even pity towards humanity. Alina Ray remained perfectly still, eyes unblinking and steady. Her immaculate white ceremonial attire gleamed conspicuously amidst the sea of dark blues, grays, and blacks representing other delegations. Each derogatory word from Exorlath felt like a blade puncturing Earth's protective armor of dignity. Yet her heart was far from shattered by insults. She drew a calm breath, subtly easing the oppressive, thick atmosphere. Exorlath sneered, tapping razor-sharp claws rhythmically and irritably upon the podium. "You lack aggression. You lack fear. You know only to beg for peace. And begging for peace is a clear admission of fearing death itself." His voice, conveyed through translators, felt as piercing and relentless as a barrage of sharpened knives. A droplet of blood fell from an old wound at the corner of Exorlath's mouth, staining the podium beneath him, a raw, visceral testament to the brutal past battles that defined the Vra. To Alina, however, this singular drop served as a catalyst, igniting within her an unyielding resolve. As Exorlath's tirade paused, Alina lifted her gaze deliberately, her impartial eyes sweeping over the faces of assembled delegates, all eagerly anticipating Earth's response. Silently, she stepped forward, gently detaching a small emblem pinned to her dress. The badge of Biologist, certifying her expertise in military strategy and biological warfare, a subtle yet potent reminder of her dual identity as both scientist and strategist. She offered a respectful nod before raising her voice to address the chamber clearly. "Exorlath, ambassador of the Vra, you claim humanity does not understand warfare, yet you overlook the fact that you stand before a master strategist." Her voice was cool and firm, projecting clearly throughout the vast hall. Strategy is not merely about responding to weaponry. Strategy is about transforming devastation into impregnable fortresses. A profound silence settled over the assembly, interrupted only by the subtle hum of translators struggling to relay her message accurately. Exorlath narrowed his eyes, voice strained with irritation. "Do not presume to instruct me on strategy, small one. Strength is all that matters." Before Alina could respond, he pointed aggressively toward her, voice booming. "Show me that strength if it even exists." His challenge tore through the tense stillness like lightning. Alina stood resolute, momentarily holding her breath before stepping back 3 deliberate steps, hand placed firmly on her chest. "You want strength? Ha!" She paused briefly, a faint, calculated smile touching her lips. "True strength isn't displayed through scales, Exorlath. It dwells within decisions, transforming weakness into allies, pain into power." She raised the emblem high, turning it sideways so that every delegate could clearly see. "Do you recognize this emblem? It symbolizes a lifelong vow, using knowledge to protect rather than violence to dominate." Her tone resonated stronger than ever, causing Exorlath to momentarily recoil, as though struck by electricity. Without waiting a beat, Alina continued, her voice clear and confident. "If you truly desire a demonstration, come to our training grounds. Come to Earth, specifically Arizona's desert, where our warriors are forged, where even you will stand amazed." Security lasers briefly flashed warningly, yet no one intervened. Exorlath bristled angrily, his armored scales glinting dangerously. His words landed heavily, thick with disdainful challenge. "I will come, and I will crush you." Alina nodded calmly, utterly composed. "Then, I will await you in the desert." Turning gracefully on her heel, she walked away, leaving behind hundreds of mixed gazes from skepticism and admiration to outright fear. The chamber erupted into a cacophony of applause, mingled with angry protests from the Vra faction. Crystal lights continued flickering erratically, adding chaos to an already turbulent mood. This exchange marked the commencement of a chain of increasingly tense events, where every spoken word and visual gesture became an instrument of warfare. As the ceremony drew to a close, Alina returned to her laboratory, her eyes still sparkling with unwavering determination. Trell walked beside her, his normally green skin turning a warm pink from excitement. "You succeeded, but you have also created formidable enemies." Alina smiled faintly, her voice calm and thoughtful. "Without adversaries, how would we ever truly know our strength?" Her words echoed gently along the cold, expansive glass corridor, a place where humanity's future balanced precariously on a thin, fragile rope. In the silent sanctuary of the lab, holographic displays and softly humming instruments created an environment of scientific serenity. Yet beneath this tranquility simmered the urgency of preparation. Trell quietly activated multiple screens, displaying intergalactic data streams, and Alina approached, absorbed in thought. "Exerlath's arrogance blinds him," she murmured, analyzing detailed star maps, showcasing strategic points across the galaxy. He perceives strength solely through aggression, unaware that true power lies in anticipation, adaptation, and intellect. Trell nodded thoughtfully, his multicolored skin now fluctuating between shades of concern and curiosity. Indeed, his misconception may provide a critical advantage. However, remember that the Vra are ruthless and cunning warriors. Alina's eyes hardened subtly, her tone resolute yet reflective. "Warriors, perhaps, but we are something far greater. We are architects of peace, guardians of knowledge, defenders of life. Exerlath will discover that our strength comes not from mere brute force, but from resilience, ingenuity, and unity." She placed a gentle hand on Trell's shoulder, expressing gratitude and trust silently. The path ahead promised trials and confrontations, tests of courage and strategy alike. But as she stood beneath the tranquil glow of the laboratory lights, Alina Ray knew one thing with absolute certainty. Humanity was ready, unafraid, and more formidable than any opponent imagined, exploring the ruins of the predecessors. As the opening night ceremony concluded, Alina Ray and Trell stepped through the thick steel doors leading to the artifact storage area, hidden deep within the Galactic Alliance research station. The long corridor stretched ominously, its walls crafted from reflective crystal metal panels that shimmered faintly with ghostly blue light, creating an ethereal illusion of swimming through a misty ocean. Trell reached out, gently tapping a sequence onto the control panel. The screen flashed briefly, and a curved doorway slid silently open, unveiling a room filled with mysteries. Inside, hundreds of ornate glass cabinets lined the room, their ancient embellishments glittering softly. They housed bizarre and intriguing artifacts, fragments of shattered spacecraft bearing enigmatic symbols, strange metallic geometries glowing dimly, and miniature flying saucers intricately carved with concentric circles. Nano-sized dust motes hovered delicately in the air, blinking like distant stars. Alina inhaled deeply, sensing the sacredness of the space. This was no mere collection. These were the relics left behind by the great predecessors. Trell turned to Alina, his skin fading swiftly to ash gray, a blend of curiosity tinged with anxiety. His voice whispered softly through his vocal filter. "These fragments may conceal immense secrets. DNA traces could still linger somewhere." Alina's gaze never left the glass cabinet containing a thin metallic disc. "Precisely what we're after," she murmured cautiously. "Proceed carefully." Activating her precision sensor gloves, she silently lifted the cabinet lid. The metallic disc rested lightly in her palm, embedded with tiny glittering crystals. Intricate spiral symbols and dotted patterns reminiscent of cellular diagrams adorned its surface. Trell waved his four-handed appendages, his skin shifting between shades of blue and pink, a clear indicator of excitement. Translations have overlooked this artifact. We must scan the codes. He activated the nanoscanner, and a thin beam of light passed swiftly over the disk, revealing molecular patterns and sequences of illuminated symbols. Alina studied the projection in deep contemplation, her heart quickening. An intricate double helix of DNA materialized within the holographic space, gently undulating like a cosmic dance. She exhaled softly, whispering in awe, It's human DNA. Yet something is peculiar." Trell tilted his head thoughtfully, his 6 fingers swiftly navigating the console. Specific gene sequences are marked distinctly. Activation codes detected. The display highlighted alternating red and blue circles, pinpointing genetic segments with possible triggering capabilities. Alina magnified the highlighted sections, observing the genetic SNPs intricately linked by glowing orange threads. Did the predecessors implant combat capabilities into human DNA? She wondered aloud, her voice hushed. Trell remained silent, his skin darkening progressively to a cautious charcoal gray, a sign of growing apprehension. Suddenly, the hologram trembled, projecting beams of vibrant light across the exhibition room, displaying intricate bioelectric impulse pattern. The artifacts around them resonated softly, emitting faint metallic echoes, their intricate carvings igniting mysteriously. Alina quickly deactivated the scanner, plunging the room back into silence, broken only by their rapid heartbeats reverberating through their sensory suits. Her voice trembled slightly. "We've activated a segment of the ruins." Trell responded gravely. "This could be perilous. Should these genes become fully active?" His sentence trailed off, but his worried gaze conveyed the gravity of the situation clearly. They stood before an incredibly sophisticated genetic device capable of unlocking hidden human potential. At that moment, the security door burst open, allowing several dark-clad figures to swiftly enter. The technical team arrived hastily, their leader peering closely at the screens, eyes widening dramatically. Energy fluctuations surpass safe thresholds. "Security gates have engaged automatically," he reported urgently. Alina instructed him to pause data recording and swiftly retreated with Trell to the central laboratory. On the walk back, she reflected intensely. If humanity was engineered with military-grade DNA, we must assess its extent, but carefully maintain secrecy. Back at the main research facility, Alina settled into her workstation, fingers swiftly manipulating three-dimensional interfaces. The holographic DNA continued its slow, mesmerizing rotation as she meticulously analyzed the genetically flagged segments. Exerlath's words echoed in her mind. "You will learn what warfare truly means." She now realized his taunt was not mere arrogance, it represented a fateful challenge. Beneath the dim, bluish lights, Alina smiled softly to herself, muttering resolutely, "If we master this genetic blueprint, no one will dare underestimate humanity again." Trell stood close by, his expression oscillating between anxiety and cautious hope. They had embarked upon a perilous journey to uncover the secrets left by the predecessors, but the exact dangers ahead remained unknown. They knew this exploration would inevitably demand blood and suffering. Anticipation buzzed quietly within their veins, growing sharper as the station's night deepened. The true, fateful messages were about to begin. The truth of the sleeping warriors. After their initial exploration, Alina and Trell returned swiftly to the central laboratory, where Professor Jax awaited beside an extensive biological analysis system. Intense white lights illuminated the lab with a clinical brightness resembling midday. With careful reverence, Jax placed the predecessor disc onto a specialized holographic scanning frame. Instantly, the image of a human DNA strand emerged, slowly revolving in the center of three delicate laser beams. Alina stared intently at the double helix, sensing each subtle vibration. "Professor," she finally asked, "where exactly is the anomaly?" Jax tapped gently on the metallic surface of his desk, creating a rhythmic, foreboding click. Pressing a button, sections of DNA marked as locked vividly stood out in red against the serene blue background. "Here," he pointed decisively, "is typical human genetic structure. And here, he revealed the golden-coated areas are the warrior genes." Alina's eyes widened, wondering momentarily if she had imagined the revelation. Jax emphasized firmly, "These enhancements were deliberately inserted by the predecessors to grant extraordinary abilities. Lightning, fast reflexes, instantaneous tactical calculations, and profound neural synchronization." Trell interrupted, his voice trembling slightly. "But why didn't these sequences activate before Mars was attacked?" Jax nodded knowingly, his voice heavy with gravity. This is the awakening factor triggered only when a species faces potential extinction or catastrophic threats. Signal molecules then activate the combat genes, establishing neural connections that form a collective consciousness. This neural network enables humanity to fight as one cohesive entity. Alina lowered her gaze, her eyes flickering with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. Her hand instinctively rose to the Senenio-biologist emblem gleaming on her chest. If this is indeed true, how do we prepare ourselves? Jack sighed deeply, turning off the hologram to prevent information overload. Throughout history, the predecessors engineered numerous species following this principle. They named these warriors Guardians. But tragically, the Guardians eventually unleashed uncontrollable power, igniting destructive civil wars. Trell blinked, his skin shifting nervously to a deeper shade of blue. The predecessors destroyed themselves with their own creations? Jax nodded solemnly, his expression grim, as if witnessing the catastrophe firsthand. They lost control. Many Guardians rebelled, ravaging entire star systems until nothing remained intact. Eventually, only mystery, relics, and us, the subsequent generations, remained, bearing their genetic legacy. Alina raised her eyes to Jax's solemn face, asking earnestly, "Are humans merely experimental versions then?" The professor paused thoughtfully before quietly replying, "Not just experiments. The predecessors carefully selected humanity, your flexible minds, unparalleled creativity, and profound capacity for emotion. They awakened combative strength but deliberately embedded compassion and sacrifice alongside." The laboratory fell silent, punctuated only by the steady ticking of the clock and their breathing. Trell shattered the heavy silence. "Can we access more documents? I want to examine how they managed the wake-up gene." Jax agreed, inputting commands swiftly. Soon, ancient scripts projected onto a secondary screen. The predecessor text clearly stated, "When hope fades, fighting spirit must ignite." Alina skimmed the final line, quietly reciting, "Strength has meaning only when protecting the weak." She smiled faintly, determination illuminating her eyes. "We aren't merely designed for war. We're intended to protect humanity." Trell gently touched her arm, his skin lightening significantly. "I understand. Our immediate task is controlled activation guidance." Ultimately, Jax proposed decisively, "We start with secure simulations. Let's cautiously activate genetic segments within sample cells, meticulously observing reactions before any human applications." Alina nodded vigorously, her voice resolute. "I'll immediately prepare the samples. Absolute secrecy must be maintained." Together, the trio approached the workstation, where sample tubes bathed under violet illumination. The vastness of the research station seemed to acknowledge this pivotal moment, witnessing humanity's approach to the era of awakened warriors, bearing immense responsibilities and boundless hopes. The laboratory screens flickered with intricate genetic sequences as Alina meticulously set up simulations. Each molecule analyzed was potentially explosive. Each strand carefully selected could ignite dormant capacities. Trell observed closely, fascinated yet wary. His skin oscillated subtly between hues of anticipation and concern, his multiple hands deftly supporting Alina's rapid movements. Professor Jack stood nearby, closely monitoring data streams cascading across transparent screens. His wise eyes surveyed every genetic alteration, understanding that one misstep could unleash unprecedented consequences. Alina felt the gravity of each keystroke, each code carefully integrated. This was more than mere scientific endeavor. It was humanity's crucial gamble for survival and advancement. The trio worked seamlessly into the night, their faces illuminated by the glow of digital data. Periodically, tension surged as experimental results displayed unpredictable outcome. Occasionally, Alina exchanged quick, concerned glances with Trell, silently acknowledging the precarious edge on which they balanced. But despite their caution, hope shone brightly, illuminating their relentless determination. Hours passed unnoticed. Alina finally stepped back, briefly stretching her fatigued muscles. "Preliminary results seem promising," she announced, voice tired yet confident. Jax nodded approvingly, carefully scrutinizing each outcome. "Indeed, controlled genetic activation appears feasible, though we must proceed with meticulous caution," Trell murmured thoughtfully, his voice tinged with admiration. "The Guardian's legacy is powerful, yet dangerous. We tread on paths both incredible and perilous." Alina met his gaze firmly, unwavering conviction evident. "Yes, but the predecessor's mistake won't repeat under our watch. We'll ensure control, balance strength with compassion, and never lose sight of our humanity." A renewed energy enveloped the laboratory. Jax adjusted the holographic projections, refining simulations further. "Each step brings us closer," he murmured thoughtfully. "Yet each advancement demands profound responsibility." As they continued their meticulous tasks, a profound silence enveloped them, underscored by an unspoken understanding of their vital roles. The station's artificial night passed steadily, marked only by subtle digital murmurs. With every moment, their work edged humanity closer to unlocking its greatest potential, a potential defined not merely by warfare, but by profound understanding and resolute protection. The distant stars, visible through panoramic windows, seemed closer tonight, witnessing the quiet yet momentous endeavors within. For Alina, Trell, and Jax, this wasn't merely scientific inquiry. It was destiny unfolding, carrying humanity into an uncertain but exhilarating future, awaiting the arrival of warriors awakened to protect, to guide, and above all, to preserve life. Smoke and flames on Mars. The Vra fleet appeared suddenly in Mars's orbit, just as the sun of the solar system began to rise above the red planet's rocky horizon. Trails of white smoke missiles interspersed with fiery red laser beams pierced through the thin Martian mist, creating a chaotic yet mesmerizing spectacle. Alarms blared across every communication outpost, their deep, resonant warnings sounding more desperate than usual as if screaming against the imminent catastrophe. Martian colonists awoke abruptly to roaring echoes from spacecraft rapidly descending through the thin atmosphere. They scrambled awake into chaos. Blinding flashes through protective domes, laser fire carving through communal symbols etched on colony shields, and searing fire streaking across red sands. Automatic security protocols, activated magnetic barrier shields flickered intermittently, just enough to buy precious moments for colonists racing toward underground shelters. Alina Ray was inside the makeshift laboratory, working intensely alongside Trell and Professor Jax on activating prototype cell samples. Double-layered glass windows trembled with each external impact. Trell hastily checked screens, flashing dire warnings. The Vra attacked without prior alert. His voice echoed urgently through the internal communication system. Jax quickly released a trembling grip from his test tube, commanding urgently, "Initiate a full system alert. Contact Admiral Chen immediately." After confirming the emergency signal, Alina burst into the hallway, joining technicians and specialists rushing towards the central control room. Stark red illumination from red alert signs reflected stark anxiety and fierce resolve across her face. A three-dimensional display revealed dozens of raw vessels surrounding Mars, approaching from all angles. Alina raised her hand, stopping Trell and Jax momentarily. "We must activate the first stage immediately. Send the genetic activation signal to Earth." Trell nodded solemnly, swiftly manipulating the control panel. The screens erupted into vibrant red letters, repeatedly flashing, "Phase 01, activation." Instantly, a specialized microwave pulse rippled through medical networks, from labs to evacuation centers. Medical personnel across sheltered colonies felt a subtle yet chilling vibration behind their ears, sending a shiver down their spines. They pulled their jackets tighter, eyes briefly clouding, yet resolutely glued to their stations. Above ground, automated bunkers sealed themselves shut as laser fire battered protective shields. Inside, soldiers from the Interplanetary Defense Force, IDF, rapidly mobilized in heavy armor, armed and ready. Command speakers crackled urgently. "Keep your weapons cool. Await orders." Soldiers sensed an unusual unity. Their collective focus sharpened, eyes glinting with newfound confidence, uncertain if the initial genetic awakening had truly begun. Simultaneously, in low Mars orbit, 3 Mariner-class warships from the Earth Defense Force, EDF, received orders to intercept. Their nimble formations maneuvered deftly to engage the Vra vessels. Vibrations resonated through their suits, yet their heartbeats remained steady. The pilots exuded an uncanny calmness, as though their assessments of danger had become instinctual. Captain Diaz aboard the Aegis Sentinel murmured approvingly, "Do you feel it? Our battle instincts?" Awakened. As EDF formations pivoted toward confrontation, laser blasts from 3 Vra ships blazed recklessly toward their targets. Explosions shook shelters, domes cracked slightly, but EDF pilots maneuvered expertly, exploiting vulnerabilities and counterattacking with surgical precision. Small, well-aimed missiles punctured the Vra energy shields, creating resonant explosions transmitted through intercom systems. Before anyone could register astonishment, the second assault wave commenced. On Martian soil, Alina received real-time data from the control bunker. EDF has neutralized 3 approaching Vra vessels. Her voice resonated sharply, brimming with hope. Trell smiled softly, his skin glowing warmly for the first time since arrival. The awakening ability is spreading rapidly. Jax's fingers danced nervously across his keyboard. Monitor the DNA signals carefully. The golden gene sequences are active at 200% above baseline. Smoke and flames intensified over Mars as the Vra fleet intensified their primary assault. Artillery shells rained upon the surface like furious meteor showers, shaking bunkers violently as emergency lights flashed ominously red. Civilians screamed in panic while IDF soldiers tightened their jaws, swiftly coordinating with EDF counterparts. Alina studied incoming data streams intently, recognizing patterns quickly. They're trying to isolate EDF from ground forces. Suddenly, an auxiliary monitor displayed drone footage. IDF soldiers, previously untrained in advanced tactics, were moving instinctively, light in the darkness. The first rays of dawn slipped quietly through the window of Admiral James Chen's command chamber aboard the Resilience. The artificial lighting system had been silenced, leaving only the pulsing red alerts flickering softly from tactical displays. Chen sat hunched over the holomap table, eyes shut tight in deep meditation, breathing steadily. Following the decisive defeat of 3 Vra ships near Mars's orbit, anticipation mounted for the enemy's next move. Yet Chen focused his mind entirely on analyzing strategic corridors on the cosmic map, meticulously searching for weaknesses. Nearby, Alina Ray monitored data streams from the frontline laboratory. On her screen, human genetic analysis graphs flashed rhythmically in vibrant red cycles, marking heightened capability. She lightly tapped her tablet, opening psychological profiles of EDF officers. Initial assessments indicated their combat reflexes had surged by 30% above standard training benchmarks. Psychologists and genetic engineers debated eagerly over the diversity of genetic activation, questioning the consistency of the hereditary response. Meanwhile, a spontaneous encounter between a Vra reconnaissance craft and EDF warships near the Alpha Belt unfolded as an impromptu emergency exercise. Admiral Chen's clear voice crackled over the comlink, commanding decisively, "Arrow formation, proceed to Echo 7 position. Utilize virtual fireline deployment against external shields." Immediately, precise razor-like laser lines were depicted on the holomap, showing EDF vessels maneuvering flawlessly in zigzag patterns, overloading the Vra radars with overwhelming data. Astonishingly, the 5 EDF ships moved seamlessly as one, without any prior verbal coordination. General Merrick from the Vra Empire, an official military observer for the Alliance, watched attentively from behind bulletproof observation glass. Activating his private microphone, he reported back to the assembly. Only the predecessors could engineer such precise combat formations. These EDF pilots have had no special training, yet their instinctual squad formations are clearly genetically derived, exceeding all known conventional training methodologies. Merrick shrugged slightly, sparking murmurs among other officials, hastily jotting notes labeled "Genetic Potential Unleashed." Beside the observation window, Trell whispered thoughtfully to Alina, "Chen is applying strategies you previously identified from scanning the ancient predecessor pyramid relics. The Cruzeiro tactical model appeared clearly in your mind. Alina nodded solemnly, recalling vividly the moment her fingertips touched the artifact's metallic surface, feeling holographic memories flood into her consciousness. "This isn't learn, it's genetic memory activation," she murmured softly. Trell stared outward into endless space, his skin subtly glowing in pale husa, sign of intense anticipation. Down on Mars, synchronized alerts from the control outposts thrust EDF and IDF into maximum readiness. Automated bunker doors slid open, allowing armored blitz vehicles to surge swiftly across abandoned streets. Civilians hurried into secure shelters, while soldiers quickly deployed magnetic mines around evacuation zones. Beneath protective domes, they moved gracefully like phantoms, perfectly executing counterattack maneuvers matching the holomap's tactical models. Each precise movement down to the centimeter forced the enemy to hesitate, stunned by the agility and precision. On the command ship Resilience, Admiral Chen stood fully upright, placing his hand on the holomap symbol of the leading Vra vessel. Instantly, biometric data pinpointing every Vra crew member appeared, transforming individual details into crucial puzzle pieces within the broader strategic plan. He paused momentarily, eyes gazing out of the observation window, noting the Blitz team's effortless neutralization of Vra targets outside the city without losing a single EDF life. Cheers erupted vigorously in Mars's command center. Blitz soldiers engaged in close-quarters combat, moving synchronously to disable the Vra technical team swiftly. Advancing as cohesive units, rifles steadily trained toward enemy positions, they penetrated deeply into the station's core without disrupting their precise formations. The Alliance's media feeds displayed powerful footage of EDF warriors passing through gates, rifles poised confidently, eyes blazing with determination, systematically eliminating threats. Alina glanced thoughtfully at the crescent moon ring adorning her finger, gently twisting it as she sensed the subtle currents of warrior instinct flowing within her. Standing nearby, Trell murmured quietly, "This is merely the beginning. The Vra counterattack will be far more intense." Alina nodded determinedly, eyes flashing with resolve. "We succeeded in Phase 2. Now we must ready ourselves for Phase 3, unlocking abilities, rivaling the ancient predecessor war machines." Alarm sirens intensified as the Vra launched a devastating variety of weaponry, energy lasers, guided missiles, and ion cannon. EDF and IDF combined forces in precise counterattacks, exploiting brief gaps between enemy barrages, applying sophisticated tactical maneuvers to restrain and outmaneuver adversaries. Each skirmish was a calculated puzzle piece, gradually revealing pathways for the broader fleet engagement. Admiral Chen's decisive orders resonated clearly over comms. Initiate Phase 3 activation signals, fully synchronized genetic capabilities, and launch operations aimed at breaking enemy morale. Alina rapidly input commands on her tablet, transmitting signals swiftly through military health networks. Trell acknowledged her with a nod, his skin glowing increasingly pink, signifying imminent full synchronization. The awakening of their genetic potentials would decide Earth's fate. Across the Martian surface, battles flared brighter, with each coordinated strike demonstrating humanity's newfound unity and precision. The ancient legacy embedded within their DNA had awakened, transforming ordinary soldiers into extraordinary warriors capable of intuitive, strategic responses previously unimaginable. Each tactical victory reinforced confidence, bolstering morale and strengthening collective resolve. Within the command bunker, Alina, Trell, and Jax closely monitored unfolding battles, continuously analyzing genetic activation data. Enhanced reflexes and instinctive combat maneuvers astonished observers and allies alike, validating decades-old theories about genetic enhancement. Each victory brought cautious optimism mixed with profound awareness of escalating threats. Alina stood quietly, eyes fixed resolutely on distant Martian horizons illuminated by bursts of conflict. Humanity's newfound strength carried immense responsibilities, wielding genetic power wisely to protect rather than dominate. Trell, sensing her thoughts, whispered reassuringly, "We've harnessed their legacy, yet our destiny remains ours to shape." The battles raged fiercely, yet amidst smoke and shadows, there gleamed a radiant hope, a testament to humanity's enduring spirit. As Admiral Chen coordinated operations, steadfast determination defined every maneuver. Mars was no longer just a distant outpost, it had become humanity's crucible, forging warriors whose courage and ingenuity illuminated darkness. In those critical moments, Alina knew humanity had truly awakened, stepping boldly into a formidable yet inspiring future. Guided by ancient wisdom encoded in their very cells, they embraced their collective destiny, emerging stronger, united, and fiercely determined to safeguard their home, Earth, against all threats. Light prevailed within darkness, marking humanity's ascent into a brave new era. Revelation. Before the assembly, the emergency session of the Galactic Alliance erupted amid urgent alarms as High Chancellor Ziv called a special meeting. Seats usually filled with delegates now stood notably empty, replaced instead by rows of armored guards gleaming in polished gear. All eyes turned toward the speaking platform, where Alina Ray, Professor Jax, and Trell stood ready to reveal groundbreaking evidence. The chamber was so silent that each breath seemed amplified through the sound system, poised to burst forth a torrent of questions. Have humans truly awakened? Did the predecessors intervene? Alina scanned the chamber, noting Ambassador Exorlath's skeptical and heated gaze, his four piercing eyes attempting to unravel her every secret. Other delegates whispered anxiously, exchanging endless questions. Engineer Talon furiously scribbled notes, the soft scratching of his pen mixing with tense anticipation. A side monitor displayed footage of EDF warships clashing fiercely with Vra vessels around Mars, setting the stage for Alina's address. Her voice rang clear yet deliberate. "Allow me to present the truth behind humanity's genetic potential." Professor Jack smiled softly, activating a colossal hologram of human DNA hovering dramatically above delegates' heads. The double helix rotated gently, highlighting essential genetic segments glowing vibrantly in golden hues. Trell pressed a control panel, magnifying marked sections. "Here is humanity's basic genetic framework," Jack stated firmly, "and here are the warrior gene sequences intentionally engineered by the predecessors." After a brief pause, Alina stepped forward confidently. "These genetic sequences have remained dormant for millennia, only activating during threats of extinction or massive-scale attacks. The recent assault on Mars served precisely as this trigger. What you witnessed on the battlefield was the explosive awakening of our genetic legacy." Her words echoed softly, yet resonantly through the chamber's audio system, reaching every delegate's consciousness. Suddenly, a commotion rippled through the hall. A representative from Kashiran rose abruptly. "The predecessors once threatened the galaxy. If humans are engineered warriors, how can we trust their safety?" On the opposite side, a Moxon delegate whispered urgently, "We must eliminate this dangerous genetic code before it grows too powerful." Fierce debates ignited across the chamber, half arguing for preservation, the other calling urgently for elimination. Ambassador Exorlath stepped boldly forward, his voice sharp and accusatory. "You are gambling recklessly with billions of lives. Prove humanity can be trusted." His gaze flashed like lightning, tension palpable in every syllable. "Show us footage of your recent victories to measure your true capabilities." The main screen immediately switched to recorded scenes of the Mars battle, depicting Vra ships systematically dismantled by human formations. Without hesitation, Alina activated the video. Crisp images clearly illustrated flawlessly executed maneuvers, laser blasts deftly evaded, and ground forces the Blitz teams maneuvering fluidly as if their bodies had become weapons themselves. Explosions resonated powerfully, debris scattered wildly, and scenes of bravery and bloodshed intertwined heroically. As the footage concluded, stunned silence descended upon the hall. High Chancellor Ziv tapped his gavel sharply, its metallic ring cutting through the stillness. "The evidence is clear. Humanity's combat capabilities far surpass existing theories. But the question remained, shall we proceed? One Talon's delegate passionately proposed, we must ally with humanity, utilizing their strength to safeguard smaller worlds. Another voice, softly from Velk, countered cautiously, or perhaps isolation and intensive study are necessary to neutralize any hidden threats? Arguments intensified sharply. Proponents of alliance recommended establishing a Guardian Corps, allowing humans to cooperate with the alliance in peacekeeping roles. Opponents insisted waiting was too risky, fearful of genetic warrior abilities spiraling out of control. Trell observed quietly, his skin shifting subtly into anxious shades of grayish blue. Beside him, Alina clenched her fist gently, eyes blazing with unwavering determination. Alina carefully studied each delegate's expression, offering a composed and reassuring smile. We do not expect immediate trust. However, permit us to demonstrate that humanity's combat strength remains fundamentally tied to protecting those weaker than ourselves. Let us serve at the front lines, guarding the Alliance borders under supervised trials. High Chancellor Ziv hesitated briefly, furrowing his brows before nodding slowly. The session is temporarily adjourned until the Guardian Corps completes its initial mission. The decisive strike of his gavel signaled the session's close, leaving behind mixed glances of hope and apprehension. Before departing the podium, Alina confidently addressed the delegates, softly yet clearly, "We will not disappoint you." The delegates gradually dispersed, murmuring thoughtfully amongst themselves, reflecting deeply upon humanity's emerging role. Outside the chamber, Alina, Jax, and Trell regrouped discreetly. Jax whispered earnestly, "This demonstration was vital, but the road ahead remains uncertain. We must remain vigilant." Trell nodded solemnly, his multicolored skin reflecting cautious optimism. "Our responsibility grows immense. Each decision shapes not only humanity's destiny, but potentially the galaxy's future." Alina looked upward through transparent hallways. Stars visible beyond clear domes, glittering calmly despite internal turmoil. She felt a profound weight of duty, yet was buoyed by undeniable pride. Humanity had showcased strength tempered by responsibility, and now their true challenge began earning lasting trust from cautious allies. As they moved through the bustling corridors, conversations paused briefly as personnel turned respectfully toward them, recognizing humanity's representatives who boldly revealed hidden truths. Each step strengthened Alina's resolve. Humanity's genetic awakening was not merely a powerful weapon, it symbolized hope, courage, and resilience against galactic adversity. Hours later, Alina stood quietly beside Admiral Chen aboard the Resilience, gazing into endless cosmic expanses. Chen spoke quietly, deeply contemplative. "Today, we took our first steps toward genuine integration. Tomorrow, we must justify the galaxy's faith." Alina responded firmly, eyes fixed intently on distant stars. "We'll prove humanity's greatest strength isn't just in combat, but in our unwavering commitment to protect life." Together, humanity and their newfound allies faced a future fraught with uncertainty, yet illuminated by profound promise. United, they would navigate challenges ahead, forging paths toward lasting peace and mutual understanding. Their revelation before the Galactic Assembly was merely the beginning now. True courage and diplomacy would define their legacy. The final naval battle, a cosmic mist descended over the Theta star cluster as humanity's fleet gathered at the edge of the battlefield. 27 Earth Defense Force warships aligned in a formation known as the Aegis Shield, shaped precisely like a defensive shield, with Admiral Chen's flagship at its heart. Directly before them, nearly 300 Vra battleships stretched ominously across space. Their crimson lights reflected menacingly against the vessel's dark metallic hulls. The holographic battle map flickered continuously, capturing every subtle shift of their formidable adversary. Standing confidently at the center of the command deck, Admiral Chen's gaze sharpened, as meticulous and focused as a jeweler inspecting his finest gemstone. He issued no explicit orders, yet the entire fleet recognized the unspoken signal the waiting was over. When the activation pulse surged through communication channels, each vessel edged forward in perfect synchrony, creating a shimmering aura of coordinated strength. Not one word unnecessary, not a second wasted. At the vanguard of the formation, Captain Diaz aboard the Aegis Sentinel stared intensely through the transparent dome, receiving his command crisply. Commence reflective countermeasures. Prioritize neutralizing enemy energy waves from the front line. With a delicate touch, he activated the energy shields, causing incoming Vra laser beams to scatter harmlessly into gentle cascades of light. EDF crew members wiped sweat from their brows, eyes gleaming with unwavering resolve. Moments later, silence shattered abruptly as enemy ships unleashed a devastating barrage of ion missiles. Blinding beams of blue erupted across space, tearing through initial defense screens, leaving clouds of debris and radiation in their wake. Yet EDF pilots showed no sign of panic. Each vessel immediately executed high-speed evasive maneuvers, gracefully slipping through narrow gaps between explosions. Return fire flashed instantly. EDF lasers pierced enemy armor with surgical precision, leaving trails of destruction across the advancing Vra line. Watching closely from the tactical support room, Trell monitored the battle analytics screen, which displayed reflexes 98%, a figure astonishingly near perfect. His skin transitioned from deep blue to a vibrant pink, signaling intense excitement. They are operating purely on awakened warrior instinct, he informed Alina through the communication link. She nodded silently, her eyes locked onto the swirling double helix pattern of activated genes displayed on her console. On Mars's surface, planetary defense units swiftly coordinated with the EDF fleet. Armored blitz vehicles fired plasma cannons precisely aligned with coordinates provided by orbiting warships. Simultaneously, IDF soldiers launched electromagnetic pulses to jam enemy radar systems, forcing retreating Vra vessels into tactical blind spots, creating ideal conditions for EDF's strike. Alarms echoed throughout planetary bunkers, but soldiers carried out their duties calmly, unfazed by the cacophony around them. The battle intensified dramatically as 3 Vra battalions surged deep into the heart of EDF's formation, breaking open defensive perimeters. Powerful heavy lasers battered the escort ships, igniting fiery explosions of orange flames. An EDF vessel suffered a critical hit. Its starboard wing sheared off, engulfed in flames, spiraling into the void. Such a sight would shake even the toughest warriors to their core. Yet, just as despair threatened, a miracle occurred. The Phase 3 genetic activation signal flooded EDF's fleet. Across every deck, biological neural networks ignited dormant warrior genes into fiery life. Amidst the chaos of flames and flashing alarms, each officer and crew member registered an exhilarating transformation. Their eyes shone with heightened perception. Hands moved controls fluidly. Propulsion systems and weapon arrays synchronized effortlessly, functioning as though the entire fleet was a single, cohesive organism. Commands and battle cries merged into an almost symphonic unity. Suddenly, from the fleet's center, Admiral Chen's flagship Resilience emitted a powerful ultrasonic pulsonot as an offensive weapon, but as a neurological synchronization wave. Instantly, every EDF vessel's systems recalibrated their targeting vectors, firing angles, and weapon frequency adjustments to create an impenetrable barrier of defense. Executing inverted code sequences, they redirected all available power into their primary cannons. The enemy fleet faltered dramatically. Several Vra ships fractured along their structural seams, internal circuits sparking and shorting out before going completely dark. Panic-stricken alarms echoed across enemy comm channels, soon drowned out by bursts of brilliant white explosions. EDF's cannons unleashed devastating volleys, each projectile landing with extraordinary precision. What had once symbolized Vra dominance quickly became a scattered field of broken, drifting wreckage. Amidst the fiery chaos, Captain Diaz scanned the battlefield through binoculars, reporting calmly to Admiral Chen. Enemy strength down by more than half, Admiral. Chen simply nodded. Uttering no further comment, He understood that true victory only came with total enemy surrender. The progress display flashed. Victory threshold, 63%, steadily climbing towards completion, eventually hitting 100%. At the decisive threshold, the largest remaining Vra battleship transmitted a desperate surrender signal, sharing coordinates of their Empire's homeworld and invoking Galactic Union protocols for intervention. Alina closely monitored developments from afar, quietly submitting her summary to the Central Council. Genetic warfare strategy successfully executed. Humanity has achieved victory not merely through dominance, but by protecting the vulnerable. Throughout the conflict, Galactic Union broadcasters recorded every detail, from EDF's dramatic arrival, genetic activation, to the awe-inspiring climax. Every civilization watched in stunned silence, utterly captivated. Aboard the Resilience, EDF officers embraced each other tearfully, their joy mingling with grief. They had reached humanity's ultimate potential and transcended it. The final naval battle concluded as surviving Vra ships retreated respectfully, not due to weakness, but recognition of humanity's awakened power. Their crews silently saluted EDF's departing formation, acknowledging them as living legends through gestures of solemn respect. As the Resilience slowly turned back towards Earth, Admiral Chen closed his eyes, sensing the spirit of countless fallen comrades rising alongside them. On the holographic map, Alina watched proudly as scattered EDF ship icons coalesced elegantly into the form of a pure white flag, symbolizing peace, fiercely guarded by awakened warrior strength. Humanity had unmistakably proven that even amidst darkest adversity, true light could still shine brilliantly. Aftermath and a new mission. In the silent aftermath of the final naval battle, space around the Resilience was thick with unspoken emotions. Exhausted, each EDF warship slowed, gradually shutting down their primary engines to conserve what little energy remained. On decks slick with blood and oil, soldiers quietly wiped their faces, staring somberly at the ghostly retreat of the Vra fleet. Alarms signaling the stand-down echoed softly through the ships, heralding the start of recovery operations. Yet no one celebrated openly. Eyes reflected quiet sorrow and grief, mindful of the heavy price they'd paid, lives lost, sacrifices made, and uncertainty about an unpredictable future. On the planet New Terran, an emergency session of the Galactic Alliance convened in the Great Earth Hall. High Chancellor Ziv occupied the center seat, flanked by delegates from the Tellans, Moxen, Kashiran, Velk, and numerous other races. The Vra delegation arrived late, their silver armor glinting mournfully beneath harsh lights, reflecting anxious hearts burdened by defeat. Ambassador Exerlath bowed respectfully before stepping onto the podium. Gone was his former contempt, replaced by a solemn voice resonating with reflection. We acknowledge defeat. Humanity has exceeded our imagination. We hereby surrender unconditionally. The words, unconditional surrender, struck the chamber like a heavy stone dropped into still water, sending shockwaves across every face. Chancellor Ziv hammered the gavel sharply, its echoes lingering through crystal-paneled walls. The Alliance Council has heard your declaration. The Vra's unconditional surrender is accepted. However, the next steps must ensure lasting peace. From the delegates' rows, Alina Ray stood confidently, eyes shining with determination. Our goal isn't to destroy our enemy, but to integrate them into a unified system of defense. This is our true mission. Professor Jax moved forward, activating the holographic display titled Guardian Protocols, a legal document composed of 6 major chapters. Chapter 1 defined operational parameters clearly. Humanity shall guard the Alliance's borders, assist weaker civilizations, and swiftly respond to cosmic threats. Chapter 2 required multi-species oversight. Each mission conducted by the Guardian Corps must have representatives from at least 3 Alliance species overseeing actions, ensuring power is never abused. Chapter 3 set minimal use of force rules. Lethal force may only be used when no alternative remains viable. Alina smoothly continued, voice unwavering. Chapter 4 Genetic Activation Protocol. Warrior genes will fully activate only in existential crises or large-scale attacks. Chapter V Transparency and Reporting. All missions must announce intentions 24 hours prior, except in red-level emergencies. Chapter V Education and Cultural Harmony. Humanity commits to sharing its knowledge and culture, creating an interplanetary ecosystem founded upon harmony. The screen glowed warmly with Alina's signature, alongside the golden genetic spiral symbols of the predecessors, marking the proposal's conclusion. Applause erupted alongside disapproving murmurs. Emotions polarized sharply. The road ahead clearly wasn't smooth. Fear lingered about genetic power becoming a double-edged sword. Ambassador Moxon whispered anxiously to a Kashiran colleague, "If they ever betray us, we won't be able to stop them crossing alliance borders." But a Tellan's delegate responded calmly, "Let them prove their intentions. We've desperately needed protectors for centuries." After 10 contentious voting rounds, the Guardian protocols passed with a decisive majority in favor. Admiral James Chen and Alina Ray were immediately appointed Marshal and Special Ambassador of the newly established Human Guardian Corps. Together, they stepped onto the podium, proudly wearing new uniforms in white and blue, marked with the Phoenix emblem and crescent rings. Chen spoke warmly. "We promise to maintain peace, protect those who cannot protect themselves, and never misuse our power." Alina's gaze met his, filled with faith and courage. "This is our new mission, to become the shield of the Alliance." Following the ceremony, Alina and Chen convened the inaugural meeting of the Guardian Corps. Plans swiftly unfolded to recruit 200 elite warriors from Earth's military and civilian ranks, combining combat skills with diplomatic training. Trell and Professor Jax assumed roles leading the genetic research team, ensuring genetic triggers activated precisely when necessary and exclusively for appropriate personnel. Cultural and linguistic experts from across the Alliance were invited to educate Guardians thoroughly in customs, laws, and traditions of each species they would protect. Meanwhile, on Earth, a live broadcast aired the official unveiling of the Guardian fleet. Global audiences watched via satellite, witnessing 55 escort vessels outfitted with reflective shields and advanced missile defense systems arranged neatly in San Francisco Bay. Flags of the Alliance and Earth's nations intertwined, forming a new emblem, a unified Alliance shield encircled by the golden spiral of human DNA. Cheering echoed throughout city streets, children and elderly alike shouting jubilantly, "We are finally safe!" Exactly 1 month later, Alina and Chen reconvened at the Central Fleet Command. Today marked their departure. Standing aboard Resilience, Alina touched a small crystal artifact, the final gift from predecessor ruins. It ignited gently, resonating within her mind. "Humans have chosen guardianship over conquest. Your new mission begins." She smiled softly, gaze lifted toward the endless stars beyond. Admiral Chen approached, handing her a star map etched into holographic glass. "This marks our course toward the outer boundaries, the edge between reality and legend. We're investigating mysterious signals from Sector Beyond X-47. Alina nodded resolutely, her voice steady and assured. The Guardian Corps stands ready. In perfect synchronization, the engines of Resilience and 54 Guardian warships ignited, forming streams of brilliant light propelling forward toward the galactic frontier. Behind them, Earth faded quietly, yielding space to infinite darkness. Carrying hope, reputation, and solemn vows of protection, they traveled beyond past challenges to craft a fresh chapter for humanity. With unwavering purpose, humanity embarked on this journey not simply as conquerors, but as steadfast protectors, guardians of peace. Alina watched the starlight reflect gently upon her uniform, her heart filled with anticipation. Together, they moved forward, united in the knowledge that their mission would redefine humanity's role in the cosmos. The fleet soared gracefully into uncharted expanses, their presence symbolizing unity, honor, and a profound commitment to safeguard life across galaxies. Behind them lay the scars of war, Ahead, the boundless unknown path illuminated by hope, courage, and the indomitable strength of awakened warriors. The Guardian Corps had arisen, and their legacy was just beginning.